welcome to GGS Railways. My name is Greg. This is my YouTube channel. All right, we are still going through that massive lot of things we got at the thrift store and cleaning them up, and I'll show you a close-up of some of these things and how we're coming on that, and some little bit of dramatic effect where we've got part clean and part not. Anyway, we'll show that off later in the video. But right now, what the main focus of this video is going to be is we have this Marx 400 right here, and you may not recognize it because it has been cleaned up quite well, and it looks a lot different. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like just the other day when we got it, and this is it. All right, so what are we doing? So you may have noticed in the picture that I just showed that the corner of the roof is broken off, and I don't have this zoomed in just yet, but I will. But what I've done is I've just put a business card in here just along where the roof should be, and we're going to fill this in with some metal epoxy, and we're going to try to do that. I've done it before. I've done it successfully before. Let's see if we can do it again. So all right, let me get this camera zoomed in. Let's get to going. Let's see what we are actually doing. All right, so here we are at the scene of the crime, so to speak, and just to show you guys that I'm not just playing with you, this is the one with the broken corner. This is just a piece of cardstock that I put in here to mimic the edge of the roof, and we're going to fill this in. So, all right, let's get to going on that. All right, let's get going with this. And once again, I have successfully done this once before. Let's see if we can do it again. Once again, we have the corner of the Marx 400 broken off here, and I just have a piece of cardstock to imitate the edge of the roof. And we're going to use this JB Weld steel stick, reinforced steel putty, and yeah, we're going to use that. So the way this works, you take it out of the tube, and then you take one of these ends off. If you can get the end off. All right, maybe I should have done this part before I started the camera. All right, so that end comes off. What you do is you just get a small section of this, and you break it off like so. And that's actually way more than we actually need, but that's what I got. So, all right, then if you really feel you need to, you put that back on. So, all right, so the two parts of this, the black and the gray, when you knead it together, it creates a chemical reaction, and it activates the epoxy. All right. Once again, this is way more than we probably need, but I guess better too much than too little, right? I don't remember exactly the technique I used in this before, but I bet we figure it out as we go along. It's all right. Probably you might want to use gloves because your hands are going to turn black with the epoxy. Oh, frankly, I don't care. I'll wash it off later. So all right, so we got the epoxy here, and you notice it's all kind of the same kind of grayish color. Black and white makes gray. So all right, so I'm just going to start. I'm just going to make this real thin, or as thin as I can get it. All right, then you just kind of start matching it into what you got there. Now, what I will tell you is that you want to do all your work with this stuff while it's still soft, because once it gets hard, you're not doing much with it. Okay, so all right, so far so good. Like I said, we probably got way more than we needed there, but that's okay. So all right, so this is looking pretty good. Got a little bit more here on the back than really I want. Normally, what I would do is I have a razor blade that I would just take and peel that off, but I'm just going to do it with my hand. So, all right, so we are pretty good here, with the exception of where it ties in on this other end. But once again, just work it, and you will get it. I promise you will. So, all right, that's looking pretty good. So, all right, very good. So, all right, one other trick to doing this, and actually it looks like I'm a little short on my roof line over here. Not that anybody's ever gonna notice that, I promise, but so yeah. So for those of you that have like the pristine trains and stuff, then can never imagine doing this. Well, this video probably isn't for you, but if you're like me who hates to throw things away, and it makes you a little sad to have the life of a toy come to an end, then this may be for you. So all right, here we go. It's looking pretty good. Once again, I got a little bit excess there. You want to work with this stuff fairly quickly, because once it starts setting up, you're pretty much done. So all right, fixing to show you something that is a little cool. So all right, if you are really good with this stuff, what you can do, what you'll find, uh-oh, I screwed myself up a little bit there. What you will find is that you can smooth this out before it dries, and if you do that, you'll have to do very little finishing. So, all right, here we go. I think we about got it there. So, all right. So, all right, so that's going to be probably waste at this point. So, what you will notice is as it gets dry, it gets a little bit more difficult to work with. What you can do, and this stuff is very resistant to chemicals, water, whatever, because it is epoxy. All right, so one of the ways that you can make this smoother is that you can just take some water and your finger, and believe it or not, this is smoothing and shaping all at the same time. And you want to get it just as smooth as you can, because once that is dry, you're pretty much stuck with whatever you have. That's right, this is coming pretty well. I have one little bump there that I don't like. Once again, can't stress enough that nobody's going to notice if it's not completely perfect. And if they do, well, so they do. It's all right. Getting that really good there. So, this is looking mighty fine. It's all right. I got a little bit of a ridge here that I don't like, but it's starting to get dry. So that's probably going to be about it. So all right, we've got an edge. It's a pretty good edge. I like it. We got a little bit of an issue out here. Nothing big. Once again, don't be afraid of this stuff. This stuff is so sticky that you can actually put it on a leaking gas can, like gas tank for like a car. I've done that before, and it will stop it from leaking. And gasoline does not affect the epoxy. That's just how stout and cool this stuff is. It's all right. All right, so I think we're probably as done as we're going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this away, because at some point very soon this will not be any good. It'll just be a brick. So all right, so we are ready to just wait. So let's do that, and we'll be back. I'm going to go ahead and take a paper towel and kind of blot this off, dry it off. Just going to try to make it just as smooth as I possibly can. All right, that looks pretty good. So all right, be back in a minute. All right, guys, so what you're going to do is, before this is just completely dry, it's going to feel almost dry but a little bit tacky. What you're going to do is just take a file and just, now be careful, you want to mainly get on your epoxy and just kind of contour it. Take that edge off where it meets. Now don't worry too much about this if it starts looking like you're scratching something or damaging something, because I promise you, we're fixing to fix it. So all right, so looking pretty good. Just about got it. So a little bit of a hint, when you start seeing none of the shiny black in the putty and all gray, you have it more or less flat. So, all right. Once again, doesn't have to be exactly perfect. That is actually pretty doggone good. So I don't know, let me see if the camera can see that or not, but that's our new corner. And as you can see, other than paint, it pretty much matches. Very cool. And it's strong too. When it dries, it's going to be very strong. And because it's epoxy, it'll weld well to the original plastic. All right, so let's let that dry for a minute, then we'll get on to the next step. All right, so it's time to make this gray black. And what I've actually found works the best, believe it or not, is a black Sharpie. Now bear with me. I mean, there are other ways you could do this. You could tape it, and you could do a layer of paint. But I think this actually works better, and I'll show you. You can be the judge. So all right. So somewhere in here we scratched it a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of go and fill in the scratches. Now what you want to do is you want to make the black with the Sharpie uniform. And when this dries, you will be surprised at how much it looks like the original paint. Alright, doesn't seem like this would work, but for those of us that have done it, well, you know it works pretty doggone well. So, alright, here we go. Just kind of take your time, fill it all in, and it's going to look fantastic. Gonna look fantastic. So alright, I just had a thing happen that I did not plan on happening, but I think we can still make it work. So my epoxy wasn't quite done there, but that's okay. It's okay. So if you do mess this up, it's not a big deal to start over. It's really not. So alright, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it's starting to look pretty fantastic. Very cool. So, all right. The problem with these Sharpies is sometimes when you're marking on porous stuff, you need to switch to another marker while it refills its wick, or however you want to say it. So let's see, I have another one over here. Let me get it. Actually, if you have one of those little paint markers, that'll work too. That works remarkably well. I may actually have one of those over there if this doesn't decide to cooperate. But so far, I'm pretty happy. So, all right, here we go. So, okay. Very cool. Very cool indeed. So, all right. Just ever so slowly. Just ever so slowly. So, all right. Don't know if the camera can see it like I can see it, but it's looking pretty doggone good. So, all right. Very, very cool. So, all right. If you do this and you're worried about the marks that you're seeing when it dries, those will disappear. Promise you they will. Sharpie kind of dries like paint. Kind of. So, all right. Just about got our first iteration here. Now, if at any point you find that you're not happy with how much you put on or took off or whatever, you can always go back and redo it. So, all right, let's let that dry and we'll come back and we'll look and see what we did in just a minute. All right, so at this point our epoxy is dry enough that everything's settling down and fading into place. It looks really nice. You may notice it's got a little bit of a ridge here. Now the epoxy will shrink just a little bit, so I would not advise to fix this at this point. Later on we may come back, but frankly I think this looks good enough to me. So all right, so the next thing I want to do on this guy is I want to replace the bulb, because I noticed the bulb is burnt out. So let me get to doing that. All right, so as I have alluded to many times, replacing the bulb on these is super simple. Just take 1, 2 screws out, and the whole assembly here will just simply come right out. Now, you know when you say something's going to be simple sometimes. But yeah, it's probably not been out of there in a minute or two, but it does just slide on out of there. I promise it does. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, that just been in there a day or two. So, all right, the bulb is right there. And oh, actually, it looks like it's just maybe loose. That would be nice, because I don't actually have the absolute correct bulb for this. Let's see. Uh-oh, well, I just broke it, so either way. All right, well, I think it probably was good, and then some dummy, me, broke it. That's right, so I have this little bulb. This is a Lionel type bulb. It won't be quite as bright, but it'll be okay, I think. So, all right. All right. So I've already cleaned this up. I've already oiled it. I've already serviced it. So we're ready to stick that back in there. Let me get to doing that. All right, let's get this guy back in here. So for those that like to know that kind of thing, this is the single reduction motor, which is the less expensive, the more common of the Marx motors. But, you know, I have found them to be quite nice and quite dependable. The only thing that really happens on this configuration is sometimes this little idler gear here will wear out. And if you have a problem with yours binding, that's probably where it is. All right, so let's get this back in here. Learn a little something as we go, maybe. So, all right, get this back in here. Yeah, that was quite tough getting that out. I don't think I've ever had one that was quite that tough. So, all right, I don't see the hole here to put this screw in. So that's an interesting problem. So, all right, I think maybe I'm not far enough back, maybe, perhaps. Wow, I've never seen a shell that's quite this tight. So, all right, I don't know. All right, so I can see now that I think I had it too far forwards, actually. So, all right, once again, just 2 screws. About as simple as you get. All right, here we go. There's one now. I think I've told you guys before that you don't want to tighten them, the one up totally until you get this next one, because you may need to move it around. In this case, it seems like it's pretty good. The shell is really tight. I like it a lot. So, all right, a lot of people don't find these little 400s to be collectible or desirable. I kind of quite like them, actually. I mean, it's a very simple, very dependable locomotive that you can put on your layout, and it will run and run and run without a lot of drama. So, all right, I'm gonna go put it on the track. Maybe put a little few cars behind it, and let's see what it looks like. See if you can spot the repair on the roof. All right, let's do it. All right, so we have the Marx 400 here on the track. The roof is repaired. Can you see the roof repair? I can't see the roof repair. I'm pretty happy with that. So, all right, before we put a bunch of trains behind this, let's make sure we did a good job, and let's make sure it actually does go. This is the second time I've ever run it. So, all right, very cool. You don't get much better than that. So, all right, check out the roof. Wow. Very cool. All right, so let's get a consist of train cars and so forth behind here. I'm going to find a tender for it and so forth, but I can do that. Give me just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, so I have a proper consist of train cars and things on the track here. These are obviously all Marx of various generations. The tender is one that I had, so it doesn't actually probably go with a 400, although it had the butterfly type coupler, so we could run the new cars that we just got in the thrift store lot that you saw, the filthy ones, and as you'll see here in a minute, they cleaned it very, very nicely. We got the depressed, what I call depressed flat car there, and actually it turns out that that's a reel car for like wire reels. You've seen that in line now. This is the Marx version. Apparently those wire reels are not that easy to find, but anyway, we'll find it. Then we got the white box car that I used. Would look pretty nice when it's cleaned up, and sure enough, we were able to get it pretty nice and did not damage any of the lettering on it, so that's very cool. Then we got the spotlight car, which does work. And then to round it all off, I have a caboose that actually is one that I already had, so that's not anything that came with that lot. But anyway, let's give this stuff a whirl around, and keep in mind this is the locomotive that we repaired the corner of the roof on. Very cool. Look at how nice those cars cleaned up. Wow. I'm just amazed. I mean, not to mention the locomotive. So, all right, so you know, I know that not all of my my viewers are into repairs and, you know, secondhand stuff or whatever, but if you are, this was a good one to learn from. You know, you can repair just about anything if you're patient and if you really want to. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna move this down a little bit. Then we're probably gonna call this about it for tonight. So, all right, let me get that done. We'll be right back. Alright guys, so I think this is probably pretty difficult to argue with. Pretty nice. Looks pretty nice running around the track there. So once again, all of this except for the tender and the caboose came from the thrift store lot. And this is the same filthy stuff. And maybe I'll just put up a little reminder. Here are the pictures of this stuff before we cleaned it up. And yeah, that's same stuff. Pretty cool. Amazing what a little bit of work and a little bit of elbow grease will do, right? So alright guys, well until next time, this really is it this time. GGS Railways out. So cool.